Here we are again. Let's get us big real
Wow,
quick.
we we look like we're still standing and walking after that. Maybe for some people, for me, it was a really tough week number two.
Yeah, yeah.
We were
A
talking,
lot
and I
to
think you had a little bit of a tough week.
a little bit, but it was okay. I lost by the skin of my teeth twice. So, but I also skinned out a win. I left that part out, Marty. So the one win that I did get this week, I won by like a point. So it comes and it goes, just like the ebbs and the flows, which we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. And I hope
Yeah, which we're
so. Before we get going into
yeah. Well,
anything,
thanks for
though,
joining us. We're answers.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're answers by guess.
We are.
It's 2.5 reviewing week number two and preparing for week number three. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube and the other social media.
Now you're getting choppy for me. You're getting choppy for me, Marty. I don't know if that's me that's choppy or you're choppy. Can somebody type in who's choppy? Who's choppy? Am I choppy or is Marty choppy? Who's choppy? He's frozen for me. Can somebody please comment? You should be commenting anyway. Listen, we've been doing this be 9 years now. I'm talking. I might be the one that's frozen, so this might be for nothing. But we've been doing it for 9 years. And the way that we can continue to do it is continue to beat the algorithm. And the way we beat the algorithm is comments, likes, shares. So can somebody please comment and let me know, am I frozen or is Marty frozen? Who's frozen? It might be him because he's gone now. And he's frozen below me. Jeremy, he says hello. Who's frozen? Can you hear me? Are you out there? Is Marty frozen? Am I frozen? Who's frozen? Can somebody just say,
all right,
guess you're frozen? Or Marty's frozen. Who's frozen?
Hello. Can you hear me?
I need somebody to talk to me.
Can you hear me, Guess?
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me,
I'm
Guess?
asking for somebody to please let me know. Who's frozen? Me? Marty? All I have is a hello and a no. I have no direction here. I'm meandering through. I'm meandering. Anyways, I'm going to say something real quick. We are answered by guests. Thank you for the intro, Marty. Now he says everything is fine. Thanks. I got good news. I got bad news. Which one do you want first? The good news or the bad news?
I always like to finish on a positive note. So let's start with your bad news.
The bad news is, and I don't know if I should preface this with my reasoning. I won't. I'll give you the bad news. The bad news is, and it won't be all the time, but it's going to be more based on what we've seen. And I don't think this is being reactive. I think it's proactive. And it's a little bit of a self-correction. My beliefs are still true with these guys, but the bad news is that Ladd McConkey probably is not going to be the Ladd McConkey that you drafted because of the good news. The good news is that I was wrong about Quentin Johnston 2 weeks into the season. He looked good. He caught a ball. He didn't drop one yet. Now, hopefully I don't jinx him if you're an owner, but if he continues to play this way, he'll be the guy that I liked 2 years ago as a rookie. This could be that magical year 3 for a wide receiver. If he can just catch the dang ball, then you have yourself a nice piece. And on top of that, his other piece, Keenan Allen, continues to look spry. But what I said was I still feel the same exact way about these two guys. It's good news if you own them. But the way I felt is Quentin Johnston needs to be consistent and catch the ball. If that continues, you have a winner. Keenan Allen, if he stays healthy, you have a winner. And that was my reasoning for telling the one sad sap. Hopefully she's not too sad to scoop Romeo Dobbs instead of Keenan Allen. But at this point in the season, I mean, Keenan Allen's ahead of him, but with Jaden Reed going down, we'll see how Dobbs goes, and we'll talk more about that game as we go. But you got to self-correct sometime. You got to call yourself out if you were wrong. So I was completely blowing off Quentin Johnston. He looks good, but he looks like I thought he would look 2 years ago, and even last year. He's got to continue to catch the ball. And Keenan Allen, he's got a 9 life, right? So, and the other one is Rashid Shaheed. I'm not a Rashid Shaheed guy, but I mean, they got Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. I'm a Juwan Johnson guy. He caught an amazing touchdown. That's what he does. So the Saints got a little bit of something. So I will correct my wrongs first and end on a good note for you, Marty.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you have everything together here, because I think remember last week Facebook said that they were having trouble with the.
Well, Jeremy's
StreamYard
here,
and
so
that,
thank you, Jeremy, for commenting. 3 comments will surely boost us.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can hear us well, add a heart there.
Yeah.
If you want to acknowledge guests being wrong and right, acknowledge that with a nice emoji. Let's start with the notes. So on Facebook, I mentioned I have started out 0-2. I got blown out by 70 points. Still put up a good number. But my week 2 is like a seiche. And what is a seiche? This is Lake Erie. There's no water. The wind pushed out the water earlier in the morning, about a couple weeks ago. And a few hours later, the water was back. And I'm going old school here because week 2 for me was a guess old term called ebb and flow. The good old ebb and flow. The reason I bring this up is we saw some comments. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But the Giants just blew up. Russell Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, the Giants, all these players who were nowhere in week 1, all of a sudden are record-breaking points in week 2. And a lot of us had kept them on the bench or started them in week 1, put them on the bench in week 2, and we're paying for it. But we want to talk a little bit about the ebb and flow and the headlines going into week 2. There was a lot that happened. So I brought this up, Gus. Do any of these names, this is the year that they first started a game in the NFL. 3 old guys and 2 newer guys. And the reason I brought this up is obviously there were the ebb and flow of quarterbacks, 5 major injuries. We already talked about Brock Purdy and Mac Jones taking over for him, but Burrow's going to be out 3 months at least. Jaden Daniels got a knee, still doubtful he's going to play this weekend. J.J. McCarthy, your boy, not looking good. Ankle injury, he's out for several weeks. Justin Fields in concussion protocol. So, in going with these players, are there anyone on these bench from these teams that we want to start? Or we go to a question, and William asks, I need 2 quarterbacks, Burrow down and JJ's out. There's a list of quarterbacks, probably tough to read, but
it is. That's a problem. I'll call it a pro tip, for lack of a better term. You got to make those as big as you can. I found last year, you just got to play with it. But I want to point out real quick before we get into this, Marty, 2 things. 1, I was also wrong about Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson. Go ahead. Listen, a bologna sandwich on white bread is good every once in a while, I suppose. It's no Italian sub with roasted red peppers or sweet peppers in the works. But it's sustenance. And he had an amazing week. So the people I said to sit him, I'm sorry. You hear that on the radio. And then also, before we get into the quarterbacks, because I can't see the list.
I've got the list here, so I'll read it to you really quick, too.
All right. Well, I'm wondering before you read it, if I were to ask you his nickname, Daniel Jones. What would you say?
His nickname.
Yeah. Very famous nickname. There's a couple people watching.
Danny
What is
Dimes. Danny
Dan?
Dimes.
That's Danny Dimes. Well, he's got a new nickname. His new nickname is Indiana Jones. And he is lighting it up. Now, I won't preface, but I'll suffice this if that's correct. It's not. But I'll say he's been at home his first 2 games. He now goes on the road in week 3. So let's see if this continues when it's not such friendly confines, right? But Indiana Jones, he's got to be close to QB1 so far. I think they like haven't punted the ball at all this year. They're incredible.
And Danny Dimes, or Indiana Jones, is on his list of about almost half the league of quarterbacks on his list. He's got tags: Goff, Williams, Stafford, Geno Smith, May, Lawrence, Browning, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Penix, Wentz, Stroud, Mac Jones, Indiana Jones, Bryce Young, Rattler, and Flacco. Out of all those, I'm guessing probably pick 2. Who would you like out of?
I think you're going to have a hard time making a wrong choice, honestly. And I'm confused at why you need 2. It's not a super flex, and I know that because there would not be this many quarterbacks available. It's also likely a 10-team league, I'm guessing. This is half. I mean, there's got to be 16 quarterbacks there, right? Yeah. So, and they're all starters. Some of them are there because of the injuries you spoke about. I don't think you can really make a wrong decision. I think probably your safest bet in this point in time, aside from your absolute safest bet, is to play the matchups. Probably go with Stafford, who's looked to continue. He looks like he's back, healthy. We don't have to worry about Stetson Bennett coming for his job anytime soon, so long as he stays on the field. Indiana Jones is going on the road. I'd be a little worried about scooping him up to play this week. I think Stafford probably would be my top choice, but, you got Goff. You can't really go bad with him. He came back last week. Haven't looked at the matchups yet, so I'm not sure who they're playing this week.
Goff is at Baltimore. Stafford is at Philadelphia. And obviously you mentioned Indiana Jones. Danny is at Tennessee.
Yeah, and just out of curiosity, Bryce Young, are they playing Atlanta?
Yep, they are playing Atlanta at home.
Okay. So, I mean, those would be kind of 3 guys I'd be looking at. I mean, A-Rod, you really can't go wrong. Drake May, you want a little consistency. You want a little staying power because I'm trying to look. Burrow and who was this other one? JJ, they're going to be out for weeks. So maybe you do pick up 2, but based on this, there's probably other positions you could be scooping 2 unless the rest of your team's stacked. But I'd probably go after Stafford. Stafford, Goff, Indiana Jones, Bryce Young, Drake May. Like it's tough for me to see, but I'd probably lean on those 5. And Stroud I really like, but they got to fix their offensive line.
Yeah, I've got that as a topic too moving forward. So you got a huge choice. We went over several of them, so hopefully you can pick up 1 or 2 of those and move forward. Yeah,
listen, you're going to pick up 2. Waivers are going to clear. Nobody else, maybe one other guy is picking up 1. So if your mind changes or you come back Sunday morning and I'm starting to feel hot about Aaron Rodgers and you picked up 2 other guys and he's still out there, watch the show and be like, all right, I'll put in Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Nobody's coming after these guys. You have the 2 most hurt quarterbacks in the entire league. So you don't have to worry about anybody sniping them. I don't even think I would waste a waiver priority. I think I would save it and I would just wait till waivers clear and then just pick from there.
Yeah, there's a lot of great choices, even if a couple people take a Stafford or Goff.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on this list? You talked about Mac Jones, but is there anybody in this green list that's going to be taken over for these starters that you would want to play, or are you going to be a wait and see type of person?
It's all very similar. When you look at Fields to Taylor, obviously not as dynamic. When you go to Daniels to Mariota, obviously not as dynamic, but similar. Wentz will give you a little on the ground, maybe. I mean, he's got to be 45 by now. I'm probably going with Browning, to be honest. He's had stints. He's looked good. He looked pretty good last week. I'd probably go with him, to be honest. I think he's got the best weapons. I mean, yeah, Carson Wentz has some good ones, but I would say looking at all that list, the Bengals have the best receiving core, the best running back. So in total, I'd probably go with Jake Browning, I think.
All right. Here it is, another injury. Aaron Jones put on the IR hamstring. It's Mason time. We've been talking about Mason for all year, I think. Even when you and Robert, or when you were on week number 1, I think you were talking about him, and it is Mason time. So,
I said I drafted him because it's not if Aaron Jones gets hurt, it's when. And that time is now. Yeah.
So, with a new quarterback, obviously replacing JJ, Aaron Jones is out. What do you see? Mason's looked good when he's given a chance. Anything changing with the Vikings offense? They have one more week until Addison comes back.
Yeah.
Got a few other players we're going to be talking about soon. But anything major changing with them now that Jones is out and JJ's out?
I mean, he has two things going in his favor, Jordan Mason, as far as in Carson Wentz being the quarterback. One, he's a veteran. He's done it before. He quarterbacked the best team in football the year that Philly went to the Super Bowl and won. I know Nick Foles came in, took over. Nick Foles was the winning quarterback, but it was Carson Wentz, and he was playing amazing. And since then, he's been flying around. But it's a veteran. He'll be able to do just fine, especially in this offense. And number two, and more importantly, and I like him, and anybody that's watched it all this season knows I like him. J.J. McCarthy has not looked good. He's not looked good. He looked good for a quarter, I would say, out of 8, 7, whenever he went out, right? So I think that it doesn't really affect, even if Aaron Jones, didn't get injured, I think that the offense would be just about the same, if not maybe even a little better. Because really, J.J. McCarthy had his moments in both games. One of them, he looked fantastic in the fourth quarter. But aside from that, I mean, he was missing guys. He looks good running the ball, but he got hurt doing it. And so I think, Mason. I think he's the guy now. And I don't think that Wentz is going to be a detractor from any success on his part.
All right.
I think if anything, the offense will be a little more smooth, if anything.
So one to watch. People have been very disappointed in BTJ, but he does have a wrist injury, the coach advised the media. Probably will play, but this may be one of the reasons why he has not started out very, very well. I mean, obviously a little bit of the quarterback and the play calling, but just wanted to bring this to your attention. Anybody that you think on the Jags side that needs to step up? ETN's been doing well, but on the receiver-wise, do you like anybody on that Jags team?
Parker Washington, I guess, would be like the next guy up type of thing that hasn't really been doing too much. I think BTJ will be fine. I think the bigger problem is the quarterback, like you mentioned. It is what it is. It is what it is.
So we talk about the ebb and flow. Everybody soured on the Giants. And while they lost, but they lost 40-37 to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Tracy had an okay game.
Scatabo.
Scatabo had a better game, got the ball much more.
Mm-hmm.
So is what we see from the Giants, is that something that you think is going to continue on for the next several weeks, or are they going to go back to how they looked in week number 1?
Honestly, I feel like probably somewhere in between. I think that there was a lot of oomph given by them going against the Cowboys after the bad week 1. Russell Wilson's going to have his ups and downs, but he had what's the word? Classic Russell Wilson over the top touchdown pass. He's Pepper and Wandale, and that's the thing that allowed me to say, about the bologna and mayo white bread sandwich. I mean, Russell Wilson's looking his way. So he is wide receiver 3 flex worthy at this point. Neighbors, obviously. And for the guy that was looking at quarterbacks, Russell Wilson's out there. It's going to be matchup dependent. You got to realize that it was a division game. They were pumped up to play Dallas. They were in the game. They were winning the game. They were losing the game. They were winning the game. Stuff like that changes. When you play against a team with a really good defense, that's where it's going to be a flow, so to speak, and a low. And you're like, why did I start these guys? Excuse me. So, but I think somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're as bad as they were week 1. And I feel like last week, it was just a special back and forth, awesome game to watch.
So just one question on Scatabo. He obviously had more rushing attempts than Tracy, but Tracy was a little bit involved with the passing game. I think that was the sort of the flow of the game too. What do you think of Scatabo moving forward? Is he going to is it still going to be one of those almost 50-50 splits in the rushing game, or is Scatabo going to be taking over that part and Tracy slowly going back to maybe be more of a third down back?
I think that's what they want to get it to, right? They drafted Scatabo to sort of be that 1-2 pounder. And he's got some speed and he could catch the ball if need be. And Tracy is better suited as a third down back. So I think that that's what they would like. But I think it's going to take another game or two. I'm not sure if it'll ever get to 50-50, but if he is a third down guy only, Tracy, which I don't think he will be. I think if anything, they'll both be in on first, second, and third, and they'll just sort of rotate game flow, stuff like that. But I drafted him in a dynasty league. I had Tracy, but I traded both of them shortly after the draft, along with Drake London. I got Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Chase Brown. And everybody thought I ripped the guy off, but he offered me the trade. Marvin Harrison hasn't looked good. Odunze was nothing, but I just had a feeling about him. So you can't look at him and be like, oh, Odunze was the best piece in the deal. Well, he wasn't. He was like a throw-in at the time that I just sort of had a feeling about. So really, I traded Chase Brown for these two. But I had to draft Scatabo first because I liked him coming out of college. So he's valuable for sure.
Yeah. Next headline: Ebb and flow. The Patriots. We thought Miami playing at home would I don't think would have
their offense
the
woke up at least.
But yeah, they did. But the Patriots didn't play very well at home against the Raiders, and then they go down to Miami and they pull out a big win on the road in Miami. I think the big news out of this passing game, not as great as it was down when they were at home, but Stevenson's was the one that seemed to get the ball more. Didn't see much of the rookie from Ohio State. So just really quick, your thoughts on the Patriots and the Dolphins right now?
I mean, that's what it's going to be. That's what fantasy has been evolving to, and is certainly going to continue to evolve into. That's why, although Algier got a ton of burn, that's why I had Bijan as my number one overall. That's why I wanted Chase Brown, because it's like these guys where there is a second guy who will pepper in and take some stuff. You want somebody who's going to be out there the majority of the time, all 3 downs, and without somebody who's even close to an equal next to him, because it's just a killer. Like Saquon, like, yeah, he's got other guys who are going to come in, but nobody's close to him. Nobody has to come in on 3rd down and take him out of the game. He can play all 3. So those guys are going to continue to be super valuable. And right now, week 2.5, 2025, I'm in the same exact mindset that I was last year this time. I'm going after a running back in the 1st round. Hopefully, I'm in a spot where I could take one without being at too much of a reach, because if you can get one of those stud guys, and Derrick Henry's one of them, he had a terrible week. That'll happen. But he's one of them. He's like a guy that doesn't really need to come out of the game. They'll take him out sometimes, but he doesn't really need to. So it's like guys like that, I feel like are going to be way more valuable than taking these stud wide receivers 1st, 2nd, 3rd overall, because they can have duds too, as we saw with Chase, AJ Brown week 1. Jefferson hasn't been ridiculous. Amon-Ra finally came back. Neighbors had a good game. So they're all going to have ebbs and flows. They're all going to have, what do you call them? Sage. They're all going to have those.
They're going to have those. We'll talk about Miami as their Thursday night game. We'll talk about Miami in a few minutes.
Yep.
All right. The Seahawks. This surprised me. You didn't see much of Charbonnet. Guess who was carrying that ball, carrying the rock, keeping him in the game? Mr. Walker. Again, an ebb and flow type of game. They get the win on the road. And Walker comes back out of nowhere and takes over the game. My bonus 5 guys for your eyes. Mr. Horton scores a touchdown early on. We'll talk about the Chiefs a little bit too, but again, the Seahawks. This is we weren't thinking very highly of them going into Pittsburgh, and they get the win. So, any thoughts on the Seahawks or the Steelers?
This is exactly what I was just talking about, running backs, right? I like Charbonnet week 1. I think on the Sunday morning show, I was sort of telling people not to play Charbonnet. I wasn't so much as saying play Walker. I can't remember if I did or I didn't, but I was just saying, I don't know about Charbonnet this week. The matchup had a little bit to do with it, and the ebb and flow had everything to do with it. This is the problem with these guys that can easily be taken out. I mean, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones is the same exact thing that we talked about earlier. And now I'm in a position, and people that drafted, or if you're going to pick up, if he's still out there, which I doubt, Jordan Mason, now you're going to have a guy who's going to play just about every down and get subbed out every once in a while. But this game, the Seahawks, yeah, but it was that touchdown on the kickoff that flipped the entire game. I mean, if the Pittsburgh guy knows the rules, the new rules, right? He doesn't let that ball go. Who knows? Pittsburgh could easily have won this game. That was the play that flipped everything. Changed everything.
Changed the flow. It just the momentum carried right over. All right. I want to talk about the Chiefs and Eagles, because the Chiefs are 0-2. I think Jeremy mentioned that they were probably going to start off 0-2. The Eagles, 2 wins, but besides Barkley, I just don't think the Eagles are really running on all cylinders. A.J. Brown got a few more targets. He got 8 this past week. Chiefs defense is pretty tough, but moving forward with the Chiefs and the Eagles, is there any concerns? We talked about the Chiefs in the running game, but any concerns with the Chiefs and Eagles moving forward in regards to any of the players based on their first 2 weeks?
Well, they did in week 1. You and I were kind of texting. Week 1, they hit Thornton finally on one of the big balls, and then they did 2 more this week and hit him on the second one for a 50-yard touchdown. That's going to be the play. That's why he was the number 1 5 guy for your eye. It was like they have something worked up with Thornton, and all Mahomes has to do is hit it. and it's probably going to continue. My big thing is Jalen Hurts. How many passing TDs does he have this year? Zero. This was a weird game. This really weird game. And I kind of said going in, I said that you have to play Hurts over Mahomes. Mahomes will probably have more passing yards. He might end up scoring more points, but you just don't play him over Jalen Hurts, not in this matchup. And that all came out true. And, sorry, but you, I guess, should have started Mahomes. But that's just my suggestion. It's your team. You got to do what you do. But with that being said, Jalen Hurts, I don't know what it is. I really don't, because Devontae Smith was catching good balls. They didn't have the tight end, but the tight end they had guys playing tight end, but he didn't have Goddard. But it's not like he needed Goddard ever really in his life to be as good. He's really not using A.J. Brown at all. I know their defenses are looking to take him out of the game. I'm a little concerned as a Jalen Hurts owner. I know it's going to correct itself. It'll be just fine. But they're 2-0, so they really don't care. They really don't care.
Yeah.
He could finish the year with 0 touchdowns. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That they're 2-0 and he hasn't thrown a touchdown. So they're like, I don't even need to. So it's a worry for fans.
That's a concern for me. I have Hurts. So it is a concern. He only threw for a little over 100 yards.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they go forward.
But they don't care. They don't care.
All right. Ebb and flow. These are some of the top players from week 2. From this list, I think, is there anyone you're concerned that's just like, somebody's going to have a regress? Jamar Chase was surprising to me because once Burrows went out, he just accelerated. He was the main target.
Yeah.
Anybody here that you feel that, hey, they were a top player in week 2, but be careful moving forward? I see on this list no one, but what are your thoughts?
I mean, Javonte had the one big run that gave him the touchdown, and it was a back and forth, high scoring, high octane game. They're going to get into some sluggish games, so I still feel the same exact way. But you watched the show, you've been a part of it for years. You know how much I love Javonte. Tucker Kraft is one that I would say. I mean, I was huge on him on the last Tuesday show a week ago. I was like, no, you don't drop Tucker Kraft. He's going to have a great game Thursday. He had a great game. But I'd be worried a little bit because you say, oh, well, no Jayden Reed. Well, he had a huge game. So what are the defenses going to focus on going into next week? This is why it happens. They're like, oh, they're not just going to be like, oh, Tucker Kraft had a good game. Let's not worry about him. Let's worry about it. No, they're going to be like, they don't have Jayden Reed. Tucker Kraft killed the Commanders. We've got to worry about Tucker Kraft. And they plan on it all week long. And that's who they're going to look to make sure it doesn't kill them. Because when there was no Jayden Reed, and even when there was Jayden Reed, Tucker Kraft was killing people. So I'd be a little worried on a Tuesday. We'll see how the week goes. That if you're a Tucker Kraft owner and you didn't play him, and maybe you have somebody good who maybe didn't do too good this week, you're automatically going to say, oh, Tucker Kraft's amazing. He is. I told you that. But you got to be careful of the ebbs and flows or the
Sage.
The Sage. Okay.
Sage. All right. Now, are we concerned about any of these players? Didn't have really great weeks in week number 2. I think you've already talked. We talked about Jalen Hurts already.
Yeah, I mean, I could go down the list real quick. Likely will be back soon. Mark Andrews is getting older by the day. Derrick Henry will be fine. Jalen Hurts we talked about. Brian Thomas Jr., he's got the wrist, like you mentioned, but he's got the quarterback. Chase Brown will be fine. Breece Hall's in that running back conundrum that we talked about. Marvin Harrison, I don't know what it is with Kyler Murray and not being – and, like, I'm watching that game. I'm watching Red Zone, and anytime it was on that, I'm like, I'm just wondering if Arizona had a different quarterback, how good he'd be doing. And I think Kyler Murray's fine. He could throw the ball just fine. but he's just not in sync with Marvin Harrison. There's a lot of overthrows, underthrows, wide left, wide right. I'm just like, something's off with their chemistry. So I'm a little worried about that trade I mentioned earlier. And if you're a Marvin Harrison owner, should be able to correct it. He's all-time talent, but a lot of that also, I mean, yeah, he killed it in college, but a lot of that has to do with his father's career as well. Connor, well documented. And A.J. Brown goes right with Jalen Hurts. As long as teams are looking to take him out of the game and Jalen Hurts and they're winning and he doesn't need to throw touchdowns his way, he's going to suffer. He's going to suffer.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with some questions here. Keith asks, would you drop Josh Downs for Jauan Jennings or Troy Franklin? Guess I know you don't care for Jennings. He's always a little banged up, but what's the best bang for the buck? It would be a bench spot.
Well, Keith, I know you've been with us for a few years, and I talked up Jauan Jennings before anyone even knew who he was. I say that, and it's the truth. And I'm not going to toot my own horn, but it's the truth. He was their third wide receiver, maybe fourth, and I was like, they need to give this guy. You could go back and look. It must have been 2022, maybe. I'm like, they got a guy, Jauan Jennings. His hands are amazing. They have to get him on the field. And it took injuries in 2023, or maybe it was last year. I think it was 23, for him to explode on the scene. He had like a 4-touchdown game or something crazy. And now he's a household name. I like Jauan Jennings. My problem with Jauan Jennings is more so the fact I feel like Purdy likes to spread it around. He uses all of his weapons type of thing. But if you're asking me Josh Downs or Jauan Jennings or Troy Franklin, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, so I'm glad that you already have your eye on him. There's a hint. Because I loved him last year as a rookie. They just weren't using him. And now it looks like they're finally using him. And they had an entire drive where Bo Nix was just looking for him, and he blew the whole thing up. And he was pumped up. So I love that. I love Troy Franklin. I would drop Josh Downs and probably your next worst wide receiver if I don't like him, and get both of these guys. You go with your gut. For me, I'm going with Troy Franklin simply because he's younger, and Bo Nix is finally being allowed to look his way, I think, by Sean Payton. I think this game is going to catapult him over the Marvin Mims hype. And the Broncos for too long have been a Cortland Sutton funnel. It's been going on for too long, and they've needed a guy like Troy Franklin. Jauan Jennings gets hurt very often. Will Jauan Jennings outscore Troy for the rest of the year? Maybe, but I would take my risks with Troy Franklin. But I would pick them both up. Josh Downs, I want nothing to do with him at all. He's lower on my list than Wan'Dale Robinson and Rashid Shaheed, to be honest. He was such a flash in the pan for me. I mean, college was good. He had a lot of for whatever reason, I'm just not into him. I'm just not into him. Even with Indiana Jones leading the charge.
All right. Thanks, Keith. All right, Jeremy, who should I drop to make room for a D? He currently has the Broncos, Mooney, Marks, or JJ. Needs a good defensive streamer this week.
I mean, I would be fine getting rid of Mooney. Mooney hangs out with Wan'Dale and Josh Downs and Rashid Shaheed. They're all in the same crew for me. So I'm fine getting rid of him. You're not dropping Woody Marks. They gave him a little bit of an uptick. It's going to continue. They got to fix their line in Houston. And J.J. McCarthy, if that's what you're talking about, I mean, you could dump him and just hold on to Mooney because nobody's picking up McCarthy. He's going to be out for weeks. Nobody's picking him up. He hasn't looked good. So drop him. Nobody's picking him up. I think this is a team where you have Mahomes. So just ride Mahomes, pick up somebody else during the bye week. That's probably your safest bet. Just keep Mooney just in case. JJ is worthless right now if you don't have an IR spot.
Yep. Do you have any defensive streamers this week? He has the Broncos. The Broncos are playing against the Chargers.
Seattle, if they're out there.
Yeah, Seattle
They're
is
playing
home
New
against the
Orleans.
Saints. Yep.
Yeah. The Niners might be available. I know that they got their issue with the quarterback, but I really don't think I talked about Mac Jones that bad. But they are at home against Arizona. Depends on how many are available in your league. I'm just going through the games. I haven't done any analyzation. It's Tuesday. I'm still digesting last week. Really, that's all I was looking at all day yesterday and today. I mean, that's pretty much probably it. I don't think you really want to take a chance with maybe the Bucks, because the Bucks are at home against the Jets, and it's Tyrod Taylor and not Justin Fields. So maybe.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, follow that up on Sunday, and maybe we'll look at it again and see if that's.
So if you have
any,
Mahomes
changes.
and Knicks, I'm looking at the bottom. If you have Mahomes and Knicks, then you don't need J.J. McCarthy. So you get rid of him. You don't need 3. Because I know that's not Justin Jefferson. Because you're not dropping him. I don't know another JJ. Who's another JJ? Jumping Jack?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Ian Menenge, Benson, Tootin, Scatabo, or Sampson for the long haul.
I think the top 2 on this list are Benson and Tootin. Benson is already getting burned. I feel like he's outscored Connor 2 weeks in a row now. I could be wrong. I don't have the exact numbers, but it feels that way. It's definitely a passing of the torch happening, and they love Tootin there. They love Tootin so much they got rid of Tank Bigsby. Tootin had an amazing juke move from 5 yards out, juked the guy right out of his shoes, scored a touchdown. That's what he could do. He's so electric. It's one of those two. Manan guy is hardly getting any burn. Got a little this week. Roshan is waiting in the wings. It's a 3-headed at least monster. And it's the Bears. They still can't fix anything. I don't understand them. Scatterbull would be 3rd for me. I am a Benson drafter anywhere I could this year. Tootin was somebody that I was looking for later, but got sniped on him a few rounds after Benson. And I still think Arizona's a better team than Jacksonville. I think Kyler Murray's better than Trevor Lawrence. ETN and Connor are both on the same injury wavelength, right? They both could easily be out for a couple and get hurt. Connor might be a little more durable because he's bigger, but he's also older. I'm going to go Benson 1, Tootin 2, Scatterbo 3.
All right. Yeah, I agree too. All right. Thanks, Ian. Jason, here's my starters in white, bench in gray. Checking wires for quarterback and place claim to add Seattle's defense this week. And I cut that off, so let me see what his questions are here. All right, 1 second.
Mm-hmm. Take your time.
All right, he's checking the wire for quarterbacks that place claim to add Seattle's defense this week. Who should I try to target quarterback-wise on the wire? Doesn't have that. And what changes, drops, swaps, modifications do you recommend for my starting lineup, which is on the left?
Well, Jason, if you've been watching the whole show, we had a rundown where one person had like half the league available. We talked about those quarterbacks. I don't know who's available in your league, but I'm going to guess a few of those guys at least. So if you need it to be a little more specific, what you got to do is take a screenshot of your waiver wire and just post it underneath your comment or make a brand new post. That's fine too. And we'll take a look at it tonight before I go to bed, and I'll let you know from there. I would be fine dropping Chris Godwin, to to be honest, looking at this team. I know he'll be back soon, but McMillan will be back soon too. Igbuka is playing that Godwin role brilliantly. Godwin is always hurt. I know he's got a lot of name value, but he's also got a lot of mileage on him. And I'm looking at the other guys that got upside, and you're holding Godwin for a just in case or a bye week or a fill in, and I gotta feel like you could get one of those because you got Ridley, Tet, and Debo are going to be fine for you starters with London, obviously. I think I would drop Godwin. Go ahead and get your Seattle defense. They are a good stream for the week. Drop Godwin, pick up a quarterback, and then we'll work from there.
Yeah, he also has, you can see Gibbs. He has ETN as this other running back and Kraft as his tight end. Then obviously on his bench. But, yeah, we'll take a look if you show us who's available on the wire. All right. All right, we've got one more question here I want to pop in.
Yeah.
Darren, Judkins, Henderson, or Harvey, running back 2, PPR, disappointed in all at this point.
It's a Tuesday, Darren, and you've been with us for a few years as well, so you know the drill. I could give you one of these guys right now. I'm not familiar with the matchups on a Tuesday night. I'm still looking at last week to adjust. But I'm not playing Judkins going against Green Bay. He got a few snaps this week. Let him get acclimated. I know they're at home. That line did open at 9.5, and it's down to 7.5 now. So people must be hammering the Browns, which for whatever reason, I don't think the Packers should be a 9.5-point favorite. I think that was to get people to bet one of the two teams. Anyways, I digress. Henderson's going against the Patriots.
Steelers, home.
That's what I meant. And where the Broncos at? Chargers. They all got tough matchups. Yeah. I probably go with Henderson, to be honest. They're at home, right?
All right, and we can revisit this weekend too. All right, it's time for 5 guys for your eyes. Mm-hmm. We'll start out number 5. Malik Heath or Savion Williams, Green Bay Packer wide receivers. And like we said, the Packers are at the Browns this week.
Yeah, this is simply because I know Jaden Reed got hurt, right? Watson, I wish he would just go away. He's still hurt. It's because I like both of these guys quite a bit. Now, I'm a homer, right? I don't live in Green Bay, but this is my favorite team. So the theme, which we'll see in a few minutes, is I'm picking on a few of these Green Bay guys because one of them will pop. It'll be very ebb and flow-ish. Malik Heath, his playing time has been so sparse over the past couple of years, but he always makes a splash, always makes a huge catch. And I think he's just a small break away. Savion Williams is a rookie. They drafted him as a second rookie after taking Golden. We're still waiting for Golden to pop. So when I'm looking at these two, I'm looking at them to not only fill in for Jaden Reed, but also until Golden and Love get on the same page. He should have had a 40-yard touchdown last week. Love underthrew him. That was not Golden's fault. If he would have hit that, people would be singing so many different praises about Golden, but the Packers slaughtered anyways, so it didn't really matter. But one of these two guys, I feel like, is going to be the next big thing, just behind another guy that we all know more of, but we have to keep an even closer eye on him. We'll talk about him in a couple minutes.
All right. Number 4, Jalen Naylor. You mentioned him last week when we were previewing the Vikings game.
Yeah.
Addison's coming back next week. I mean, it's probably going to take him a week or two to get back in the flow of things, but what's up with Naylor?
And that's why I like him. Jalen Naylor, I think it was 2023. He was a rookie. He was out the entire season. He's a super speedster. Heading into last year, 2024, I was like, this guy's healthy, playing for the Vikings. He's a super speedster. You got to know his name. He was a 5 guy for your eye towards the beginning of last season, and he splashed quite a bit towards the end of the year last year. And he splashed last week. And now with Wentz coming in, who I think will perform better than J.J. McCarthy has. Really, honestly do. Just because he's got the veteran presence. He's been around, and he'll put the ball where it needs to be. And when Addison comes back, it'll be the same as it was last year. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, the wide receiver 3 is Jalen Naylor. And he was great at being a wide receiver 3 for them. He's exactly what they need. He's going to catch a ton of deep balls with his speed. He's looked good so far this year, so you have him for one more week as the number 2, and then he'll be the number 3.
All right, sounds good. Speaking of number 3, Dontavian Wicks, another Packer receiver.
Every week I got to give a layup. Every week. This is a layup. I mean, Jane Reed got out. Wicks had a great game. Wicks will continue. He's always there. We know his name. He's just waiting for his time to shine. He's been waiting for a couple years now. The time is now. Romeo Doubs is really the only consistent option that they have. Teams are going to look after Tucker Kraft after the Thursday night game that he had this past week. And Wicks has done nothing but be a solid, consistent wide receiver whenever they needed him. And they need him right now. I think he might get overlooked this week in a lot of, because we've seen his name so much over the past season. It's like, Dontavian Wicks had another good game, but he'll never do it again type of thing. And I think his time could be now to pop. I really do, especially with Reed going to be out for a while. Golden taking a little longer to connect with Love, and teams now aware, although he's had big games, but they're aware now Tucker Kraft can have a big blow up. So a little less focus will be on guys like Dontavian Wicks for the Packers.
So you listed him at 3. You've listed 3 receivers for Green Bay in order. If they're available, who would you go for?
Yeah, that's it. Wicks. I would probably go with Malik Heath next and Savion Williams third.
All right.
This one right here, because it's a layup. You want to pick them up now, and you might even be in a position where worst comes to worst, maybe you're a BTJ owner and he doesn't go. You might have to even play Dontavian Wicks this week. The other 2, you keep your eye on them, and that's mostly what 5 guys for your eye it is. But every once in a while, look, my layups and my number 1 are typically guys where you should just go scoop them.
Okay. Number 2, Jaden Higgins, Houston Texans receiver.
We've talked quite a bit about him. We talked a lot about him this year. It's going to happen. They connected a little bit last night. That was last night, right? They played?
Yeah.
It was the first game. Connected a couple. They got to fix their line. But he's exactly what Houston's needed. And it's going to pop. If somebody drops him, you have to have your eye on him. If he's sitting out there and you got some bum on your bench that you're just sick of, this is a guy you pick up. Wide receiver 2. Once they figure out this offensive line situation and this offense really gets going, they showed spurts of it last night. They looked better last night than they did week 1. But once they really get it going, I think he's going to be a big name. I think he's going to be a big name in the league.
Yeah, Kirk is coming back, so you could get that slot receiver. Hutchinson made some catches, but like you said, that offensive line is an issue. But I think with Kirk coming back, you get that veteran. He's going to be able to dump that off. This is going to open up Higgins because they're going to be doubling Collins as much as possible.
Yep,
Higgins
exactly.
It's going to free up Higgins.
Exactly.
All right, your number 1, 5 guys for your eyes.
We talked
Troy
about
Franklin. We already talked about him.
He's everything. This past week was everything that I knew he could do last year. He had 1 or 2 games where he caught a touchdown last year, and I was just like, this dude is the next it thing. And then he would just never use him. Sean Payton would just, I like Marvin Mims. I'll put Marvin Mims. I'll put Devon Vele in. I'll put this old dude that I picked up at the Kroger or whatever. I'll put him in the game. No, Troy Franklin is the answer. He's going to take over for Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton is getting up there. It's not going to happen this year, maybe next year, but this is the awakening. This is the Troy Franklin awakening right here. Last week was, and this is your time to get him right now.
All right, we'll see how they do. They're playing at Los Angeles Chargers. Mm-hmm. So the bonus, the bridge bonus this week.
My favorite part of the week.
I'm going old school. And I am going with Hunter Renfrow. Coker's out. Legette's not doing anything. Hunter Renfrow has had 15 targets in the first 2 weeks, 9 receptions, 60-plus yards, and he happened to catch 2 touchdowns. So Bryce is comfortable with this veteran. He is a possession receiver. This guy, if you're in a full PPR and you've got some injuries at wide receiver, you need to cover a bye week in the next few weeks. This guy is somebody I think is going to continue to receive the targets each week. So going old school with Hunter Renfrow for the Carolina Panthers, and they play the Falcons at home this week. That's my bridge bonus.
I am telling you, the raw bonus and the bridge bonus deliver like the pizza men used to back in the day. I mean, it's always on time. It's always hot. It's perfect. It tastes great. Hunter Renfrow was somebody I was looking at, and I was just like, it's not my style. But everything you just said, Bryce Young, right? And how about that? Bryce Young outscored just about every quarterback last week. But you would never really have known it. But he had like more points than everybody. I think he might have been the top scoring quarterback of the week. Without looking, I think he might have been. But he needs someone like this. And that's what you said, Marty. A veteran, sure-handed slot guy who you can go to when you need somebody to make a catch, because Xavier Legette is not it. He's got Tet, who's doing great. But with Coker being out, this is a perfect fit in Carolina. Thielen gone. He's fitting right into Thielen's shoes, but he's a little more electric, a little more shifty. He can get down. He's younger. It's just a perfect fit. This is a beautiful bridge bonus, Marty. Nice job.
This one's on time, unlike my switching last week that we talked about. So, all right, got a couple questions here. Defense, Atlanta or Philadelphia? Philadelphia is playing the Rams at home. Atlanta is on the road playing Carolina.
I think I would stick with Philly. I mean, Atlanta's fine. I think they're really close. Philly's on the road playing the Rams.
Philly is at home
playing the Rams.
And I don't know if Antonio has one of these teams or if he's looking to pick up one of these teams on waiver, and maybe he has another defense team that he's not too sure about this week.
On a Tuesday night, I kind of was liking Stafford in this matchup, but it's outdoors. And then if it's in Philly, that's a tough place to play. Atlanta's on the road in Carolina, or Atlanta's at home?
Atlanta's on the road.
I think I would stick with Philly. I'm going with my gut, trust my instinct. I was sticking with Philly just to make a play or two at home, maybe even on special teams. Just outscore them a little bit. And to be honest, defenses, when they're this close and it's not that glaring, I'm not sure if it will make too big of a difference. You'll need some sort of miraculous play. Maybe Atlanta has a better shot with a quarterback like Bryce Young going against them. But I'll take the home team as the tiebreaker in Philly.
All right. Tony also had a question: Golden or Keenan Allen?
You son of a mother. I mean, I said it. Like, Chargers, where are they playing? At home?
Yep, they're at home. They are playing
The Broncos.
the Broncos.
He's going to connect with Golden. And I do think that being the first away game of the season, I'm a bit worried Green Bay will play down to the competition, which could allow Flacco to have some success. But I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. And typically when I go that route, bad things happen. But I'm 1-0 with that not happening so far this year and picking Jacoby Myers in week 1. So on a Tuesday night, Antonio, you need to ask this question again. Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Antonio. But I'm going Keenan Allen right now.
I like Keenan Allen right now. You already talked about Quentin Johnson at the beginning, and also Ladd McConkey. Herbert seems to be in the zone. So early on, Keenan Allen for me. And Tony also said he has the Rams. He's going to drop the Rams. Was planning to get Atlanta. You mentioned you should go for the home team and pick up the Eagles if he's going to drop the Rams.
Well, I think he has. Does he have Philly and the Rams? That's what I'm wondering. Or is he going to drop the Rams and pick up one of those two? Let's see what he says.
I think it was to drop the Rams and pick up one of those two. So we'll see. All right. We'll keep an eye on that. All right. Thursday night.
Talk a lot about it.
AFC East. AFC East matchup. The Dolphins traveling up to Orchard Park to face the Bills. At the time when I looked this up earlier today, the Bills were favored by 12.5, over
That's
under
crazy.
49.5 points. Weather's going to be perfect. Antonio said yes, by the way, to our question, drop the Rams and either pick up Atlanta or Philly. We suggest Philly for right now. So your thoughts on the Dolphins and Bills going into this game? The Dolphins have been sort of disappointing. The Bills, it's either by air or last week it was by ground. And what do we expect from this game? Any players that you like for this week on Thursday, or players that have maybe you like to maybe not play if you don't have to?
Well, this right here, you never see a spread like this in week 3. Never. Usually this is like towards the end of the year when one team is terrible and one team is really good. You typically see a spread this big. Thursday night game, I was pretty correct on the Keon Coleman from week 1 to week 2. Aside from that fourth quarter explosion, he kind of disappeared a little. I was wrong on Ty Johnson. I was right on Khalil Shakir, or Tyler Johnson, not Ty Johnson.
Don't be pulling a Marty there.
I was right on Shakir that he typically doesn't do very well against the Jets. I kind of like Khalil Shakir in this one. I think the Dolphins turned a little bit of a corner against the Bills. It's tougher for the Dolphins to play in Buffalo in December. This is September still. You see the weather, 73 degrees, light winds. That's like a nice night in Miami this time of year. Maybe it gets up to about 80. Maybe it's a little more humid. But I think they'll feel fine. I think their offense turned a little bit of a corner. I'd be still okay for another week. I was right about Hill having a pretty decent week. I was right about the Waddle bounce back. He had a good week. So I'm fine with those two. Achane scored a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. So, like, those three guys are all fine. Josh Allen's healthy. He had an injury scare, but he's good. Keep going. Keep going with Cook. Go with Shakir. Shakir would be like my prop bet because of his low week last week and hasn't really done much this year. He'd be like my Thursday guy that I'd be like, let me see where his yards are at because they might be around 30 to 34. Maybe they are higher, but if you can get it that low, I think they'll have a nice game in this one, dinking Duncan with Shakir and playing possession ball against this Dolphins team, who I think will be able to move the ball against the Bills.
Prediction for the game.
I'm going to go 28-17. Buffalo.
Okay.
28-17. I think Dolphins have a chance to tie or take the lead late in the game. Tua throws an interception, and then the Bills end up getting another score to jump it to an 11-point lead and win the game from there. So I think the Dolphins have a chance late, and the Bills defense shows up.
Okay. ABG3P, I've got a few lightning props here.
Quick fire.
Here
we go.
Josh Allen, over under 230 passing yards.
Over.
All right. James Cook, over under 70 rushing yards.
Over. Let the good times roll.
Ray Davis, over under 30 rushing yards.
I'm going to go over here as well.
Vanashay, over under 100 total yards.
Is that rushing and receiving?
Yes.
Oh, the number 98 is flashing in my brain, but I'm going to go over.
Keon Coleman, over under 60 receiving yards.
I think he'll get 47 under. I can't go all
Jalen
over.
Waddle, over under 60 receiving yards.
Going over.
Tyreek Hill, over under 6 receptions.
Under 5.
All right, that was the lightning round. Any final comments there, guests, about the SAISH, otherwise known as the ebb and flow as we go into week 3?
It's going to happen, but what there's going to be is a little bit more consistency. Remember, it's a 4-week period to start the season. We're halfway through it. After this week, we'll be 75% in. By the end of week 4, we'll have a really solid idea of what we have with the players we have. And at that point, you can start to make some drastic moves with the ads, with the drops, with the trades. I think right now you just sort of hold and you wait. You drafted these guys. You make sure of everything. The sample size is still too small, but after this week, you'll have a really clear picture of what you have. And more things are going to happen too. There's going to be more injuries. There'll be more guys that break out. You might have a 3rd week in a row of a dud. And at that point, you're like, all right, this is not going to happen. But if it's a rookie or a really young guy, then you got to just continue to wait. So this is one of my favorite weeks of the season. Week 4 has always been my favorite, so we're getting close.
Yeah, all right. Well, good luck on the waiver wires tonight if you're doing anything, and we got a great Thursday night game. And I think we'll be back on Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Yep.
To go over Thursday night and preview the Monday slate. And obviously get your questions in for the week. We'll add them to the show, and we'll try to answer them if it applies to the Thursday game. We'll be looking out for that. So thanks for joining us.
Yep. Thanks for coming. Thanks again, Marty. And good luck, everybody. Enjoy Thursday night, and we'll see you Sunday morning.